This week on Hermitcrafts.
Well, I feel sufficiently jangled. I mean, I feel if jangled is a verb, I have been jangled.
Yeah. You've been thoroughly jangled.
Yeah. Can we just never speak of this again?
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is ZloyXP, and we never announced the last Hermitcraft stream day on this channel because if you think anyone tells us things ahead of time, you'd be surprised. This time though, the stream day is basically 7 years in the making, as the anniversary of the Hermitcraft server is fast approaching and the gang is going to stream their hearts out for your enjoyment.
As you can see, there are going to be 3 world tours on this day, and each world tour is going to have 2 hosts that will take you around the world and explore all the things that we have done in the history of Hermitcraft. On the second day, the Sunday, we'll have 2 world tours for season 4 and 5, and that means over the weekend we're going to cover every single world and go around them and check out all the stuff.
Additionally, we would like to quickly mention that we won't be covering April Fool's videos in this recap, as that'd just be us spoiling the jokes for you, and we're not about that here unless we're talking the Jangler. And with all that out of the way, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Why do we invite him to our projects? But I don't know if it's worth it, mate. I honestly don't.
Starting with Stress Monster, who's noticed the Treat Your Chick ranch has become a bit of a ghost town. And not because the departed spirits of all the ex-chickens have stuck around, more because there isn't much business coming in. To inspire everyone to adopt more block-laying poultry, she decides to advertise at everyone's bases, putting a chicken in a glass display case in the most obvious places, along with a promotional DVD, because this is 2004. The DVD, which she plays herself on her home equipment, is an infomercial for the ranch and an announcement that all new chickens are currently available at a discount.
Do actually own a very old TV. All over the Hermitcraft server, chicks are being exploited, ignored, and killed for this.
Killing mates.
At Treat Your Chick, we have provided a shelter for these once homeless chicks and allow them to poop an item that you so desire. Then Treat a Chick is a place for you. Visit us today and get 5 diamonds off. Yes, 5 diamonds off. And you'll be able to take your chick away with you that very day.
The rest of her time is spent putting together a thematically appropriate nether tunnel to Iskall's new ice farm, using regular ice as the floor because it's spawn-proof, and, sensibly, installing ceiling lights at a safe distance so they don't just melt everything. The time for promotion is right, as there's only one surviving chick left, the hotshot Claudia, belonging to False Symmetry, though the white concrete she provides is not very useful for building unreasonably tall endermen.
His arms need to be longer as well, just because he's not in proportion very well otherwise.
That's right, 9 months into the series, we finally got a well-decorated end portal, marked overground by the aforementioned oversized shouty guy. And a well it is, of some sort, as there's water leaking through the walls and lily pads all over the place. Had to work with what they've got, considering that the state Azuma Void originally found the room was random stone room devoid of the actual stronghold.
Actually, I think I want that the other way up real quick.
Izuma is at a point where he's done chasing treasure rooms and is making ones himself. The shanty town in between districts has one particular sandstone cave now for future generations to discover, filled with gold, guards, and tiny parkour puzzles. This can by now be considered a part of his quest to make the server into one giant adventure map with no block left unturned. The newest victim to this is the terrain between Python's base and his own, the one now named Tower Bay for its many skyscrapers.
But we're doing everything one bit at a time, and the thing I'd like to focus on next is the HRN line.
For function and decoration, X connects a couple of the facilities in it with trapdoor water pipes that actually help transfer kelp and potentially other materials between the storages. And to ease player movement, his side of the riverbed was asphalted over, along with the backside of the Concorp Studios, where heavy machinery is still stored for future building, or for forming a Devastator, one or the other.
Yes, and we're now in the vehicle stage, and we've built our first little truck right here, which has one of those scoops at the top for, you know, shifting around materials in it.
Jevin, in the meantime, transitions away from the concrete overload to a much more rustic aesthetic now that his future storage room is not at all covered in water. I mean, he swaps it all for quartz later anyway, so it fits.
I am not a quartz builder. I feel like building with quartz is like a special talent, right?
Good thing he visited Season 3's map for his April Fools. It obviously helped him remember how 1.8 people did the whole sponging thing when everyone was building in Guardian temples. Now, talking about the aquatic theme, one would be remiss not to mention Zombie Cleo's latest project, a giant octopus reaching out to her Juggernaut ship from below the sea. And that's not just her doing it for April Fools either, that's just how she operates at this point. Really, a Cleo build without some enormous eldritch horror looked almost naked this whole season.
It's taken me a while, but you know, I'm gonna get there. This is not a race. Purely a marathon at this point.
Now we just need a giant robot to fight it. Though outlasting the battle between a Combiner and a Kaiju won't be difficult as long as Cub lets you into the Concorp vault. You're on your own, is what we're trying to say. Breaking in won't be easy either, as the security in that place has been cranked up to paranoid levels. Assuming that you make it past the vault's overground facade with a keybook and break through the giant door, the main treasury bunker, hidden nicely below a piston multi-extender powered mega trapdoor, opens only to those who know the code to it. Here's the catch though, the combination lock on it is not just convoluted, it's resettable. Even if you somehow find the combination out, changing it to a new one will take Cub all of one button press without even disassembling the input panel. So by the time you're there, the code might already be different.
So yeah, I think that's really cool. You can actually like reset the password from the inputs, which is super nice. So
together with Scar, he transfers most of their funds into it and eagerly awaits any intruders just to laugh at their futile attempts. TFC's Vault is a more equal opportunity venture than Cub's as long as you don't mind being experimented on at some point. The sheep are his main test subjects now, but he's put them on the back burner, metaphorically speaking, until 1.14 allows for automatic sheep shearing via dispenser. This week he starts digging a tunnel from his branch mine to his shop in the shopping district, which you'd think would be for easy restocking of resources, but it's really so he doesn't have to walk around the ever-expanding Sahara campus each time he wants to visit the shops. But TFC has plans to profit from Sahara without ever selling anything. Instead, he's taking advantage of his base constantly being loaded by the architects and future Sahara customers, which means his kelp farm stays loaded, and thanks to the new storage buffer he's built this week, he can amass huge quantities of kelp to smelt for self-renewing fuel, XP, and a sense of satisfaction.
Judging from the looks of things, I get the feeling that Sahara is going to get large.
As Grian time-lapses the Sahara storefront into existence, Iskall is puzzled as to what to do with the roof these walls will be holding up. With snow piling up in random patterns, they decide to coat the entire thing in a layer of wool carpet. Remember that string farm Iskall built forever ago? Yeah, neither did he. Anyway, it broke, so he fixes it to have some craftable wool in quick supply. The next big move is to price Doc M out of the Enderpearl market, or at least get a ton of Enderpearls to give away to Sahara customers. So Iskall heads out to the end, and even without the convenience of tricking an end gateway into spawning out in the void, he builds the same Enderman farm Doc put together months ago. Luckily for him, the design is no less hectic, and with a shulker box loader in place, he gets enough Enderpearls that he even considers giving them away to customers, both as an incentive to shop at Sahara and so they aren't in direct competition with Doc's store.
I mean, Enderpearls are always welcome, always something that everybody wants to have.
Later in the week, the architects pull together another meeting so Iskall and Mumbo can figure out the details of the storage warehouse, and Grian can have a dance party with a parrot. Even in the creative server, there is no escape. But sooner or later, they'll actually have to build 48 of these storage modules, so they get a handful of them done before returning to their own projects. Iskall to his own unstackable item storage at the lab, and Mumbo to his witch farming pit. Said pit now has a super smelter sitting close by, but it's really standing out to Mumbo, who seems to have no problem with that 256 block wide crater in the landscape, but is somehow bothered by a medium-sized redstone contraption. So he does his best to naturalize it, taking Scar's custom volcano build as inspiration, and terraforming some magma and jagged rocks around it as though it's been generating a whole lot of heat. It's also going to be generating a medium-sized amount of lag soon, since Mumbo decides the vacant underside of the witch farm would be the perfect place to build an industrial melon and pumpkin farm, modified slightly from the Il Mango design so it doesn't break instantly when Mumbo inevitably gets kicked from the server. Or when Grian gets kicked, considering he's been AFKing there too from time to time.
48 hours, 2 days straight. Nobody's kicked me, I haven't crashed, nothing. I've just been AFK here for 2 whole days.
But there are other things occupying Grian's attention, such as the search for the Jangler, which, by the way, spoilers ahead, we are a recap show. Of course there are spoilers.
Says best lamp ever, which is, you know, I'm flattered, Jangler. Thank you.
Despite the truth being hidden in plain sight, the Sherlock trio are still trying to track down the elusive cookie fiend, and after receiving some more cryptic clues, they find themselves at a brand new shop in the Derp Mall, where customers can supposedly leave requests for the Jangler to do both good and bad deeds. On opening the bad deeds chest, though, the customer is informed that the Jangler only does good deeds, and they're dunked into a pufferfish tank for their transgressions. What that means for our trio is both the Watsons getting dunked on, while Sherlock watches in bemusement, then immediately pitches them a Did You Die box.
Hey,
Wait a minute, man! The timer is running, what are you on about? Yes, I'll take it.
3 stacks of diamonds. You either jump down there and get your stuff, or you buy one of my boxes.
Doc.
After diving in to recover their gear and sorting out whose stuff is whose, they hatch a plan to draw the Jangler out by building a cookie shop coincidentally close to Cherry Computers. And if they can't identify the Jangler that way, at least they'll have a chance to make a few diamonds.
Alright, well the last thing that we need to do is actually put the order in the Jangler shop, and then job done, and then we wait for the Jangler to fall for the trap.
And a few diamonds is all they got from him once Good Times with Scar came across the only order in his dunking pool vaguely disguised as a shop.
You cannot have a dark green block on a light green section. This is a man's perfectly manicured lawn that has been destroyed.
Still, the Sleuth trio can find solace in the fact that Scar himself died like a dozen times when assembling the puffer tank, since False Symmetry's poison fish are not really welcoming to divers. Neither is Scar's pirate land, though that's more because of the criminal inhabitants. Tired of rowing around his starter island, the good captain terramorphs a cave right through it, so one can aqua Scar without taking a roundabout or lubbering on any land. Driving a ship through it is not advised though, as your masts and sails risk hitting low-hanging crystal stalactites, if not the actual ceiling. Not only has Doc M also been doing some terraforming of his own, but he's amassed enough prank debt to become the next Jangler himself. He's been buying up supplies from the Dirty Deeds shop to complete his landscape dioramas in the Nether, adding a throwback to the NHO jungle from Season 5, along with savanna, mesa, desert, and beach biomes this week, each scene complete with a couple of mini hermits and some animals he's imported from the overworld. But that's taken so many purchases that he now has to egg, stalk, or otherwise prank half the whitelist at some point or another. It's worth it to decorate the piston bolt, which also gets a 0-tick minecart elevator tacked onto it this week, with assistance from a zombie guinea pig man.
I guess we launch this guy up and see if he gets properly launched. Yeah, that looked good.
And finally there's Rendog, who has also been knees deep in transport tech. The Grand Central Station gets a minecart loader and unloader fashioned after the ones Iskall built at the shopping district. Ren starts putting some detail in the aquarium below the station concourse, and the southern line comes together. Ren also gets to ride the rails for the first complete journey between the Central Station and the Pirate District. He's now so close to adding the finishing touches that'll make it all super realistic, like none of the trains running on time and half the rails being closed for maintenance, while Doc M laughs a very German laugh in the background. And that's just about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. I co-host a podcast about Minecraft in my spare time, and you can now listen to that on YouTube. The channel will be linked in the end screen theatre, along with the recent episode where we interviewed Grian. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.